So what we will do now is we will look into how we can create histograms. Okay, so let's open our data set, the mutual funds data. And in this data set, we have a number of numerical variables which could be used to create a histogram. And essentially, we will be using this feature under data, and we will use the data analysis toolpak. Other than that, there are a number of ways we could also do histograms. So let's choose one of these variables, numerical variables, consider the assets variable. And let us invoke the data analysis toolpak, which should be first set as one of the add-ins under Excel using file options and Excel add-ins. So we have a number of selections here. So what I will do is I will get the histogram. I will choose under histogram. So then I need to determine the input range. So I will choose first my assets variable. Okay, so I will just need to, if I know the exact cell reference, I can put it there, or otherwise I can just select the cell references. Okay, then it asks me a bin range. So in order for this, I need to input the bins into a separate column in Excel. Otherwise, Excel uses its own formula for calculating the boundaries, the class intervals. So I will select chart output again. Okay, and my data, the first row has labels, so I'm also going to select labels. If I don't have labels in my data, I would leave it unchecked. So now when I press OK, it should give me a histogram in the next sheet. Okay, and of course at first doesn't seem to be very good due to the skewness in the data. It's heavily right skewed data. And of course, some intervals, some funds are very large. So we have here some extreme values. Okay, but most of the funds are concentrated in this category. Okay, so now I could even make this better, basically by making it maybe larger, deleting this unnecessary labels, and I think here we just don't need too many of these, so I can use format cells, and actually I can reduce it to 0 decimal points. So basically now, as you see, it looks much nicer, and basically I didn't need those decimals here anyway. So these are automatically generated bins. So there's a formula here which calculates the number of classes and the bin length. So here we can easily see that the difference between each number here, that's the length, that's the width of the interval. And here approximately this is about 3000. So that has been generated automatically by Excel, but we can introduce different bins. For example, we can introduce bins with a width of 5,000 or 10,000. So we can then actually do something else, and we can do format data series, and there's a gap width here, which indicates the width between those rectangles. So we can set it to no gap width, and there are instructions on how to do this in our book as well. And so we can actually now have a title here as well. For example, mutual fund assets, rather than just a title that says histogram. All right, and we have here the label frequency, and here this represents actually the interval, the second interval, which includes the funds which have assets less than 2,956. And in Excel, this number is also included. So in case the boundaries, there's a value which is equal to the boundary. So now, you might see that we could do better actually by determining different intervals. Actually, it would just be nice, perhaps, if we could determine the intervals up to 20,000 and just all the rest could be put together into a more category. As you see here, the last one is the more category, anything that is higher than the last interval. Okay, so this is automatically generated. So once having seen that, I could also create, okay, another histogram, this time with the categories, with the bins. So here you see it starts with less than approximately 3,000, less than 5,000. So maybe I could make the interval width even smaller. Let's say instead of approximately 3,000, I could do this at 1,000. Okay, so let me again call this bins. So 1,000 and 2,000. Okay, and I'm going to actually carry this on all the way to 20,000. So actually after 20,000, you see that I don't have much. So possibly anything after that can be put into the other category. Okay, so we have now intervals with interval width equal to 1,000. So everything outside of here will be converted to an other category. So let's see now, let's construct another histogram. Maybe leave this unchecked. Another histogram, the range, it remembers from our previous selection, but there is no bin range here. So I'll take it from there. Okay. So remember, it includes up to and including 1,000. It will be counted in the first group. Up to and including 2,000 will be counted in the second group. So if I do this now this time I have slightly different. So if you compare the two, I think I have slightly better representation. So, but I could also do this even with an interval width of 500, and maybe you can try this at home. So if I actually again reduce the gap width to 0, so and compare it to this one, in which the first interval included roughly 769 of the funds, and in total we have 860. Therefore, most of them actually were placed into the first interval. Still, we have the similar situation. The first interval contains 635, second one contains 95, and it goes on until, and we have the more category here with 12. So there are outliers. So now you could do maybe something like decrease the interval width to 500, and you can also break up this first interval, but this is a highly skewed data set. So in order to analyze it, we might have to try a few different interval types.